For the entire time I've been in practice, I've had clients who have been prescribed the use of benzodiazepines. In fact, I've been prescribed them from time to time. And I'm learning so much more recently about how benzodiazepines have been used in the past, how they are abused, how addictive they are, and um, their uses and abuses. And what I have learned is kind of disturbing to me for a lot of reasons, partly because doctors, I don't think, fully understand what it is like to withdraw from those medications. I'm Melody Brooke. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm a marriage and family therapist. I have been in practice for more than 30 years, and I've helped clients from all walks of life with all kinds of issues. And I am a survivor of my own stuff. I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, neglect. I've lost a child. I've been through 3 divorces. I've been through a lot. So, I've had my own stuff to deal with. And what I've started to recognize is that the first line of defense that doctors go to, because they don't, they want to help. You come in and you say you're suffering from an anxiety attack. You're having panic attacks. You're suffering from a lot of stress. You're not able to sleep, maybe. So they want to help you. So they put you on these benzodiazepines. And if you don't know what a benzodiazepine is, it is medications like Valium, Ativan, clonazepam, Xanax, those kinds of medications, that class of medications, are really useful for treating anxiety attacks in the moment, because there's nothing like them to actually calm a in the moment experience of a panic attack or an anxiety attack. The problem is that when it's taken daily for more than a couple of months, you become physiologically dependent. Your entire system, your psychological and physiological condition becomes attached to and becomes into a place where you actually need that medication in order to cope, in order to live. And so what will happen to us when we get in that situation is that over time, we might need to take more and more of it. And some people are prescribed a huge amount of these medications when the doctors, of course, are doing their best to try to help you. And they know they're addictive, and yet they continue to prescribe them. That's one of the things that's happened lately, I've seen in my clients, is that some of the doctors are becoming aware that it has been being abused. People are getting a prescription and then they're going and they're selling them to people to abuse them. And so there's been some pressure for doctors to pull back on their prescribing of these medications. And so what's been happening is that the doctors are saying, nope, I'm not going to prescribe that anymore, even though their patient is now physiologically and emotionally addicted to that medication, meaning they're just going to flat out force them to cold turkey. And the remarkable thing about that is that it is entirely possible to go into a seizure, to have seizures when you come off of these medications, because your brain is connected to that medicine. And when it goes out of your system cold turkey, you can actually have really bad short-term and long-term effects. I had a client that recently was just completely cold turkey taken off of it, and she had been on the benzodiazepine for 20 years. And this was a horrific experience for my client. They went into classic withdrawals, having stomach and nausea issues and headaches and, that feeling of electricity and muscle spasms and not being able to sleep. And just for days, she went through wondering if she wasn't going to have a seizure. And it's a miracle in a way that she didn't. I guess the only reason she didn't is because she had been on such a low dose. However, those medications for some people can create long-term effects if you're taken off cold turkey. This is not a good thing for a doctor to do, and yet they're doing it now every day. And so the reason I'm talking about this is for a couple of reasons. One is I personally started taking Klonopin to help me sleep when I started having trouble sleeping because my estrogen levels were changing. And so I went for not only about 4 or 5 months of being on it. And during that time, I did not understand that I was being going to a place of being physically and emotionally and psychologically, and my neurology was connected to that medication. And so then coming off of it it's a real challenge. And so having to taper myself off, over a long period of time when I was given no directions by my doctors on how to go about doing that. And I think I'm not alone in that. I don't understand it because the doctors will say, well, you can't stop taking that, too quickly. And yet they'll say, well, just cut it in half and then cut it in half again. And, a week later, cut it, just keep cutting it down. Well, you can't do that quickly. You really cannot come off of them so quickly as what the doctors are suggesting that you do. It takes months to get off of even a fairly low dose of one of those medications. So I'm saying this because if you are currently taking a benzodiazepine every day, you might want to consider the possibility that it might be wise for you to start tapering yourself off and finding some other kind of medication maybe to help you get through it. There are other ways to sleep. There are other ways to manage anxiety besides medications of that sort. Using benzodiazepines is, while it used to be the first line of defense against anxiety and insomnia and stress and even headaches, but now we're starting to learn and understand that that's probably not the best route to go. And so if you are currently taking something, I would consult your doctor and see if it wouldn't make sense for you maybe to shift into to some other kind of medication, get yourself off of it. And it's not easy. And it takes a lot of commitment, and I understand that. But I want you to consider that long term, that medication, the benzodiazepines, can actually cause you to become more depressed. And you can get to a point where your body is no longer like getting the benefit from it that you used to get. You develop a kind of a tolerance for it so that you have to start taking more and more to get the same effect. So then you get to the place where it's really tough to get off. Now, I am a total fan of using those medications occasionally as needed, but to take it every single day where your body becomes dependent on it, that's a whole different ball of wax. And I'm doing this sort of as a public service announcement in hopes that somebody I'm reaching out there, it will make a difference in helping them understand how to manage their anxiety better. There are multiple other ways to manage anxiety: exercise, getting out in nature, learning to meditate. And I know for an anxious person, that's like, what? But you can learn to do mindfulness meditation, which is more thoughtful, which is kind of like just focusing on your senses, taking, even as you're walking, to just close down all those thoughts. As thoughts pop into your head, just allow yourself to focus on your breath, on your footsteps, on the feeling of the air on your face, the smells around you. Just focus on your sensations, and that'll help to settle down that old brain, which, kind of gets all that anxiety going. Learning to take those kind of timeouts where you just breathe and do a breath counting where you count 4 breaths coming in, hold for 4 breaths, let go for 4 breaths, hold for 4 breaths, breathe in for 4 breaths. So you do that and you focus on counting that 4 and taking those breaths, and your anxious mind will start to settle down. If that doesn't help, there are antidepressants that actually can help with anxiety. But all of those things are options that you really need to be talking about with your care providers if you are finding yourself having been prescribed to taking them on a daily basis, because long term they have very negative effects on your brain and on your body. And coming off of them is no joke. It is not an easy thing to do. I'm going to step up here and see who's here. It looks like, hi, David. Anybody else that's here? No, let's see if, thanks for watching. So if you are a person who has sort of inadvertently become dependent on these medications, it might be important for you to take the time to have those discussions with your doctor and see what other possibilities might be available for you to help you manage the things that you were originally taking it for. I don't want to be pretending that I'm a doctor, because I am not. I am a counselor. I am not a medical doctor at all, but I do have some experience with myself and other people going off of that medication and seeing them take it over time and the effects that it has on a person psychologically and as well as physically. And it's just probably not in your best interest to continue doing that. Sure, take it once in a while if you have anxiety issues that come up where you have a panic attack or you have social anxiety and you just get overwhelmed or whatever. That's fine. Use it once in a while. But to take it every day, not a good thing for you. And if you are taking it every day, be aware that you can't just stop. And probably your doctor's not going to give you very good directions about how to taper off, but advocate for yourself and understand that it could take months. I've known people that it took a year for them to get off their medication. So be patient with yourself, be patient with the process, and understand that getting off is not easy, but you are worth it. That is a self-care bonus for you to get yourself to become not dependent on a medication that is in the long term not good for you. So I know this is kind of an odd thing for me to be talking about, but as you know, I'd like to share with you the things that I am becoming more aware about, the things that I'm learning about. I want to share with you so that you could have the benefit of the knowledge that I'm gaining about these particular subjects, which could have an impact on you or loved ones. If you have loved ones that are on that medication long term, you might just have a conversation with them about how to help them taper off and be a support person for them, because it's emotionally challenging, not to mention physically challenging, to take the time to slowly get off of a medication that you might have been on for a number of years. So thanks for watching. It's good to see you, David. And let me know if you have thoughts about what I've said or if you have questions, and ask your doctor, because I'm not. I'm Melody Brooke. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm a marriage and family therapist. And I will be back here at 4 o'clock on next Tuesday, my birthday, and I will come on. I don't know what will be behind me, but I will be seeing you on my birthday in 1 week.